Bismillah ar-Rahman Rahim. Thank you so much. Well, I don't think the government was kicked out because they decreased the petrol prices. I mean, there was, majority of the people, they had lost the majority in the assembly, and everyone thought that they were incompetent of continuing the government, and the economic challenges being faced by Pakistan were such that if they were to continue, probably Pakistan would have, been in a much, much worse situation. So, I mean, on Raja Saab's question, that if they were to continue, there are many ifs and buts in that question, but if they were to continue, we saw that in January, they had brought in a mini budget of almost 350 billion rupees, and that was basically to make sure that the commitments of IMF were fulfilled. And the way forward would have been to take the levy to almost 30 rupees, and they were supposed to increase levy by petrol prices, levy by 4 rupees per month. And they were similarly going to increase the electricity prices. So that was, I think that would have been the way forward. But we need to understand right now that the whole world is in a crisis situation with the Ukraine and Russia war, with the commodity prices rising all across. And then we have, double the threat because we're a debt-ridden country. Our debt to GDP ratio is quite on the higher side. And, the shortage of dollars. That is the main, macroeconomic stability. That is the challenge that we have today. And this is not a challenge that was built in the last 4 weeks. Or 5 weeks. This challenge was there since the start of this financial year, when in August 2021 the reserves of the state bank were almost 20 billion US dollars.
Right,
And we
Rana
were
Sahab, can you also help me understand, because of course this entire movement with regards to the previous Prime Minister and PTI has been going on for a while now as well, maybe even before the start of this year. Do you think that the PMLN or the opposition parties, the then opposition parties, had sort of prepared any sort of a strategy to deal with the current economic situation? I mean, I understand there may be a lot of data or a lot of facts that you may be privy to now, but of course, in preparation of the government or in preparation of taking the country into your own hands, you must have an idea what you need to do, but especially on the economic front, because this is a situation we have been dealing for a couple of months now. Do you think that what you are faced with right now has come to you as a shock, or were you prepared enough?
And Rana Sahab, I think that the question to you, the question that I asked, kind of hit the target but missed the point. What I was actually trying to ask you was, I understand that the previous government was not thrown out because it tried to bring down the prices of oil. Exactly. The question is that they tried to actually compensate their relative unpopularity by making these populist concessions, but they didn't stick. They didn't provide them the kind of solution to survive that was needed. Last time you came to this program, you told me that you're going to take tough decisions. Where are those decisions?
Okay. So, Patafi Saab, speaking, on my behalf, I feel that the way forward for Pakistan would be to let go of subsidies across a period of time. And we cannot sustain fiscal deficits which are around 8-9% of your GDP. That's not something which can be done. The tax ratio to GDP has to increase. When we left in 2018, it was almost 11%. When we got the government, it was around 8%. So this has to go, to a level of 15-16% of GDP. This has to be done. Otherwise, the future of the economy of Pakistan will be on the downside. So obviously, the circular debt is not sustainable. Everyone knows that. There have to be reforms. We have to bring down the technical losses. We have to bring down the theft. And if that can't be done, then the prices are going to rise, because you cannot finance these losses with further borrowing. So this is the way forward, no doubt about it. But currently, it is the belief of the Prime Minister that with such high levels of inflation, if we add the added burden of petrol increase and electricity increase, it will crush the common man. So the effort is to convince the IMF in a middle way, and that effort is almost at the last cycle of its finality, and we will have a clear picture once these talks are
And what's that
concluded.
midway, Rana Sahab? What will be that midway?
And allow me to actually add to this as well. You're talking about IMF actually helping you out, and I totally get it, and I'm totally for that. but the margin is not fixed. It continues to increase. Rupee is falling, dollar is climbing, fuel prices are climbing. The amount of subsidy that you need to sustain this kind of prices will continue to mount. Do you think that
Well,
IMF
I,
is
I
going to help
believe
you out in that?
Well, I believe once the IMF program is concluded, the dollar is going to go down, and I believe that it should be somewhere around 170, 175, because multilateral institutes and other financial institutes, and you can float your bonds in the open market as well. So that area of macroeconomic instability will be covered, and we'll see the dollar coming down. And I'm pretty sure of that. But yes, I agree with you, Patafi Saab. We cannot continue for an indefinite period of time with these subsidies. So the plan is to either go for targeted subsidies, or maybe
Yeah.
slowly over a period of a few weeks or months, each week or each month we start increasing the fuel prices. But all of that is under the discussion. We should offer them to sit in for a charter of economy, and I'm sure that it is being considered, and we are offering them on television each day that they should stop with the division of this country. They should stop
No, no, hang on,
polarizing
hang
the
on.
vote.
You said that you have urged your leadership to actually do it, and then you also said that on television this call is being made to PTI as well. Why is it that either your leadership is not reaching out to PTI, or then perhaps it is not being done in person rather than you're negotiating through television?
No, I think it should be done in person. It is a good recommendation. Heather Saab is also sitting here. We should offer it publicly. It should be offered. The people of Pakistan should know that this coalition government wants to sit with PTI to resolve the issues of Pakistan. That is the way forward today. I mean, we have to reduce this polarization. We have to reduce these swords or daggers drawn on each other. This has to end. And we have to bring in political stability.